Yeah, Petro PP1, dude.
Petro. All right. Okay, we are live. So we'll wait for a few people to get in here. Petro's PP1, is that with stone patches? What's it looking like?
Mike, you have 2 live streams going.
I know
right
one's
now.
canceled. That's why I said, "Oh my god."
Okay. I was so confused. Like, how are you doing that?
Houdini, man.
An absolute wizard. With
Absolute wizard,
Streamlabs.
Harry.
Mike, why don't you show the viewers while they all trickle in here what jersey you're rocking tonight and why he's your favorite play?
No, it's not happening. It's
You
gonna.
know why I'm rocking this jersey is because it's my favorite play tonight.
Is it Aho?
Obviously. No, it's God. I'd love an Aho jersey.
Yeah,
I
that'd
have
be sick.
the Paul Mary one right now.
Oh, he's your favorite play tonight.
Absolutely, 5,500 going against the Bruins.
We're gonna quickly
Love
skim
it.
over the Devils there. So, how was your night last night for DraftKings?
I actually broke even, and that's probably partially because McDavid and Draisaitl didn't really do as well as I thought they would in their opening night. But I did have some Canucks, thankfully. But yeah, it was hey, Travis Hamonic, dude, 2,500.
He won me some money last night, that's for sure.
He definitely
What's up, Andy? What's
definitely
up,
paying
Steve?
dividends.
What do you think happened to the Avalanche? I don't know. They busted last night. They were not good. I think I looked in the first period and it was like 18-4 in shots or something crazy, which never happens. What's going on with Josh Anderson? Yep. He looked very good last night. He took advantage of the
He looked
Leafs weak
so
defensive
good.
core. I was reading a bit that he was like skating really well in camp, and I think my biggest question mark about that is I feel like every team says their players look really good in camp, so you never really know how it's going to be.
Yeah, that's true.
But he looked like he was skating really well. Thanks, Wolf Clan. All right, so I guess we'll get started. Actually, I guess I'll talk a little bit about my DraftKings night. I placed 8th in the mini-max. I had a couple, I think I had 5-6 lineups in the top 100, or sorry, the top 50. The Montreal 2 stack hit big time last night. They were our best value play last night too. If like looking over at the Jan 13th, it's all gone now. But yeah, they were one of our best plays last night, so they hit. And I had a ton of Travis Hamonic, so I'm probably going back to him tonight. Definitely worked out that we didn't take too much Tyson Barrie either. I think the biggest concern is that like we don't know who to pick for goalies. Like it's so hard to choose the right goalie. Like Vaz was the clear option last night, and then Chicago scored late in the game, so I didn't get that shutout. I don't think anyone
It's
had the
early,
35.
right?
Yeah, it's so early. Goalies are always a
It's
question mark.
kind of a feeling out process right now as we see like what teams are like you were talking about the Colorado thing earlier. Like I wouldn't look too much into that.
No.
I just think like that's an early season, just kind of like get the feet moving type of game, and hard matchup against St. Louis. I still think that they're going to be a solid team this year. So it's just like it's a little hard to tell early on, but our projections did well last night,
Yeah, they did.
especially the Travis Hamonic one.
Quick plug on the
I'm
projections.
I'm gonna keep bringing it up because I still can't believe he was min price.
I know. He only went up 600. All right, so we'll get started here. So first game of the slate, Capitals and Sabres. Then the brand new Sabres team. I think everyone's interested to see how they're going to perform today. We'll start with the Capital side. So just first glance at the Capitals, like they have a pretty high point projection, but they are really expensive. So if you're going to be taking that first line, like you're going to have to pay up pretty big, and you're going to have to take a value stack. Some lines do have cheaper second and third lines, but in terms of the Capitals' first line, they look pretty good tonight. They should be matching up against the Eichel line, who has been proven time and time again, Eichel and Hall, that they're pretty bad defensively. They're more of just offensive threats, so The first line looks pretty good for the Capitals here. I usually like the second line for the Capitals, but they're priced up too high for me. I'm just not a fan. I'm probably going to stay away. If anything, they're going to be just a filler stack with some of the cheaper lines, but I'm not too high on them. Third line, not much happening there. Probably going to stay off that third line. There's just, I mean, Lars Eller is the only one that projects like half decent for us, but I'm probably going to stay off of that line. And then in terms of defense, I mean, you can't go wrong taking John Carlson. I would probably not one off John Carlson. I think I would take Carlson with, like if you're going Ovi, Backstrom, Oshie, it makes sense to take Carlson. Or if you're doing a power play one stack, that's probably the only time I'll take Carlson. But I think there's just better D on the slate to one off than Carlson. And then Samsonov's a good play. Again, the Sabres are a big question mark this year, so we don't know how they're going to perform. But Samsonov should see shot volume from the Sabres. The Capitals are pretty strong defensively. Some people probably wouldn't think that, but they're actually better than they seem defensively. So Samsonov's fine. I'd probably only play him if you're playing the Capitals. But yeah, looked like a decent play today. Top line projects well. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the pricing is just the biggest issue here. Like both those top two lines are pretty expensive in that sense, but I think it's a good matchup against the Sabres. It's gonna be hard to fit that John Carlson correlation, whether you're taking line one or line two. But obviously I'd probably take line one just because that OV shot bonus is
Yeah, he hits it every game.
Always a big play, dude. But yeah, it's just really expensive. So if you're gonna do that and you're gonna incorporate Carlson, you got to make sure that you find a good value line, which we'll talk about later in the slate. But Samsonov also a good play.
Do you have any changes on the power play one? Who do we see there? Kuznetsov, Backstrom, Oshie, and Ovi?
Yeah, it's same as last year.
Okay.
Ovi, Backstrom, Wilson's there, and
Okay.
Oshie, Carlson.
Yeah,
so no Kuz on the first power play,
Yeah.
which just gives me more incentive to take the first line over the second.
Yeah, so we have a couple correlation. I don't think the Capitals are going to be too high owned just because of their price, and there's a lot better plays on the slate tonight. So you don't have to worry too much about the ownership there. So looking over at the Sabres side, the biggest question mark this year, as I mentioned, the first line looks decent. I think the Ovechkin line's pretty poor defensively, so I don't think the Eichel Hall line will have too much trouble going up against them. They're a decent line. I'd be careful taking Tage Thompson, like we saw last night with the Leafs, for example. A lot of people were on Joe Thornton last night. He ended up playing like half the game with that first line. So just be careful with Tage Thompson. I don't know what the Sabres are going to do. We could see Cousins move up. We could see Olofsson move up. So you're fine taking the full stack on the Sabres, but I think it would make more sense to just do a power play stack and go Hall, Eichel, Olofsson, and then Dahlin. For the second line too, they project well. They're a little bit pricey at $14,000 for a second line, but I think you're getting good value out of Olofsson at $4,500 there. And then third line, again, I'm probably not going to take a look at them at all. I think Cousins is a fine play, but we just don't know too much about him. For the defense side, Ristolainen's fine at $4,300. I think you can find better value at that price tag. And then I do like Dahlin at $4,100. He's a similar play to Hughes, where you're not going to get the shot bonus probably, or not the block bonus. You're kind of just taking him for the 2-3 assists on the power play. So I would make the most sense if you go with the Sabres tonight to take the power play with Dahlin on D. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think if you're going anywhere here, I think it makes the most sense to do a power play stack. Again, we don't know how Tage Thompson's going to be. Apparently, he looked good in camp, but like you said, everybody kind of says that their players look good in camp. So that second line, though, I could see it maybe getting an upper kind of like grab on the second line for Washington, just because we know that that's a line that's pretty bad defensively as well as the first line. But again, like that's still kind of pricey for my taste. I just think if anything, it's Dahlin with like a power play stack. If you want to do like a 2-2-2 even, Hall and Eichel wouldn't be a bad play as well. I think they're gonna hopefully tear it up this year for Buffalo and give us something to cheer for if you're a Sabres fan. But
Lonely Sabres fan.
Yeah, I don't. Olmark actually isn't starting. I believe it's Carter Hutton tonight, but I'm still not touching a Sabres goalie, so that doesn't really matter.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so move on to the Bruins game. Obviously, Pasternak's not playing. We wish he was, but Studnicka's a solid first-line player. He should do fine up there. He was good in the AHL last year. He was good in the O. If you guys watched one of my videos, he's a pretty good, could be a pretty good pickup as long as Pasternak's out. So he does bring the price of that first line down, makes him a little bit more affordable. I'm not sure about the power play for Studnicka or if he's going to be on it, but at 3,500 playing with Marchand Bergeron, you can't really go wrong. I think the second line is also pretty good value. They project really well. Andre Cauchet still has his Anaheim pricing, it seems like, so we'll probably see a jump in the next couple of days with him. But going against the Devils, they're a fairly weak team all around. They're probably just as bad as the Chicago Blackhawks. So I think going all three lines for the Bruins is fine. Coyle has power play 1, and Craig Smith has a lot of shot upside too. So I think the Bruins, you can't go wrong with taking any of the three lines. And then just hopping over to the D quick, I'm probably not touching McAvoy today. I just don't think he's that relevant in DraftKings. Especially, I don't like paying $5K for a D that's on the second unit. But Matt Grzelcyk, 3,300, first power play. Should see lots of time on ice tonight with Krug gone. So I think Grzelcyk's a solid play. And then Tuukka Rask probably has the best chance at winning tonight. So I would say Rask is definitely a top goalie option, and he's priced accordingly.
Yeah, I think the Bruins are a very safe pick tonight going up against the Devils, who are a very weak team still. Grzelcyk, I think, is the best play option here at just 3,300. That power play one time is going to be huge, as well as Studnicka on the first line could definitely see him getting his value there. But I actually really like the second line as well. It's not too pricey. Like you said, Kashe still at 4,400. And then even the third line with Coyle and Smith. Craig Smith is a really underrated player, I think.
Yep.
So that's a good value line as well. And then Rask, of course, is, like you said, probably the best goaltending option tonight.
For sure. Devils, there's not too much to talk about here. I think they're just going to be playing in their own end the entire game. So I'm just going to quickly glance over them. There's not too much I like here. I think if you're taking the Devils, it's just a contrarian play, just because they're not going to get any ownership at all. If I were to go with any line, it would probably be the first line. I'm just not too sure about Igor. I haven't even looked too much into him, but I'm pretty sure he's not that exciting of a Russian from what we've seen players coming over from Russia right now with like Kirill Kaprizov. So yeah, I'm not too much on the Devils side. I think if you take the Devils, it's just to have some salary relief and drop your ownership.
Yeah, I just think that Mackenzie Blackwood at 7K tells you all you need to know about this game. He's a pretty competent goalie as well, but because he's so priced down, obviously it's the Boston effect, right? Like you're going up against a really deep team, and even looking at their D, there's nothing really that I love. Like Steverson was pretty good towards the end of the season, but even still, I think 4,700. I'm not paying that much for a team that's going to be in their own end for 3/4 of the game.
Yeah, you got it. Okay, so move over to the New York matchup. Got the Islanders and the Rangers. This is going to be a fun game. So on the Islanders side, I really like the Islanders first line. I mean, our projection doesn't look too high on them, but I know they have really good expected goals numbers, and the Rangers struggle defensively and on the penalty kill. The first line has all power play 1 correlation. So I do think the Islanders first line is a solid play tonight. They shouldn't get too much ownership. They're on the road too, so that also helps. The second line, I don't mind. They're just really pricey. So I'm not going to have too much of Islanders 2. I miss the days when they were all 4K. But it's just hard for me to pay up for Brock Nelson at 6,400. So I'm probably off the second line, and also probably not touching the third line. I know Ross Johnson, I think he's a fighter. So that doesn't really intrigue me at all. So for the D side, I think you can't really go wrong with Pulock. Power play 1, lots of minutes, lots of blocks. He loves shooting the puck. Pulock will give you everything. He'll get you the 3 shots and the 5 blocks and the 3. Oh my god, the 3 blocks and the 5 shots. Just confusing myself at this point. But yeah, Pelech, he's fine. He'll give you blocks, but not too high on him at that 4K price tag. But I think Pulock's a solid play tonight. And then I like Varlamov too. He should get a lot of shots for the Rangers against the Rangers, and he's probably pretty likely to get the 35 shot bonus tonight. And there's also a question mark with Zibanejad, so we'll talk about that in a bit. But if Zibanejad's out, that really hurts the Rangers' offense and only justifies why Varlamov's a decent play tonight.
I think if I'm going anywhere with the Islanders tonight, it's the first line again. Brock Nelson for 6,400. Like I don't understand that at all.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, Pajot had a good year last year, but I don't think he's going to put up the same numbers just because he's playing third line minutes now. The D are pretty solid, but again, like even for Pulock, I don't know if I want to pay 5,600 unless I'm doing like a power play correlation or something like that. And then I really like Varlamov tonight. I think the Rangers are going to shoot or try to shoot a ton, and he's shown that he can be a pretty competent goalie in net for the Islanders.
All right. So Tribe in chat said he thinks Zib's playing. I hope so. I have him in a couple of my fantasy leagues. So, but Rangers won. Always looks good. Zibanejad shoots the puck like crazy. He's really good on the power play too. Tons of goal upside. They're good. They project pretty well, but I think there's better lines on the slate. It's kind of hard going up against the Islanders team who, just traps you the entire game. I don't mind the second line. I think Kakko is a pretty big question mark for me. I don't know how much upside he has there. And I'm still not overly convinced on Ryan Strome, but if he's still seen power play one time and he's playing with Panarin, that's fine. But if I were to go anywhere tonight, it would probably be the first line. Third line's interesting for the Rangers. I don't know if they're going to match up against Pajot, who's a solid defensive forward, but I know Hedel and Lafreniere are pretty big names across the league in terms of prospects and people with high upside, so you can't really go wrong taking that third line given how cheap they are. They're probably a decent filler stack. And then for D, they're just too pricey for me to like. I would take Fox, but I think 4,700 is a little bit too much for someone that plays about 20 minutes a night and doesn't have power play one time. And then D'Angelo at 5,800 is just too much for me. Doesn't shoot enough.
Yeah, I think if anything, I'm actually going with line 2 here. Zib is actually confirmed though. He's good to go as of daily faceoff, so don't have to worry too much about that. But at 4,800, it's just assuming that he's going to be playing at the same pace as he was last year. So I guess we'll see tonight if he rips another 4-goal night. I guess we're back on the Zib train this year. But I like Panarin. I like Strome. I like Kakko as well. I think they're all competent, and you got to remember Kaapo Kakko was like a really high pick a couple of years ago, so he just hasn't had that top 6 role yet. So I like him up there on the second line. And then if you're really on the Alexis Lafreniere train, then line 3 I think is a good value play. I can't really justify Julien Gauthier, but I'm on there with the Tony DeAngelo price. I think that's a little bit too high. Adam Fox is decent, but like you say, he's not getting power play one time. And then Shesterkin, I don't know. I just think the Islanders have the advantage in this one.
All right. Yeah, another thing with the goaltending here, I don't think the Islanders shoot too much, so Shesterkin's not going to give you a lot of saves tonight. All right, move on to the shootout of tonight, the Hurricanes and the Wings. I mean, Hurricanes look great all around. All 3 lines are really good plays tonight. You can't really go wrong with any of them. You can easily power play one stack with Aho, Teravainen, Svechnikov, and Dougie. The second line looks great too. Martin Nichas is up on the second line now. For people that are doing season-long fantasy, I think Nichas is a solid pickup too. I was someone that I was just keeping an eye on to see if he moved up to the second line, but love the Hurricanes here. I think Dougie's a great defenseman, shoots a lot, and Mrazek has a very high chance at winning tonight.
Yeah, I think we see a lot of similarities in this game compared to last night with Tampa Chicago. I think that that first line looks very good. I also like the second line as well. Svech, you get that power play 1. If you're taking the second line though, that's the only power play 1 correlation you're getting though. But Nichas and Stahl both bring the price down for sure. Trocheck's actually on the first power play as well, so it is Svechnikov, Aho, Teravainen, and Trocheck. So if you're looking for kind of like a value third line play, I don't think that's your worst option on the slate, considering they're going against the Red Wings. And then you're getting that power play one time with Trocheck. But I think line 1 is definitely the line here just because of all the power play correlation. Niederreiter is the only one that isn't on PP1, so But Dougie is probably going to be my second highest owned defenseman, just because I think he's going to still play at the same pace that he did last year before he got injured. And then Mrazek 8,400. He's another solid goalie pick tonight. He's expensive, but it's justified.
Fair enough. Red Wings side, it's similar to the Devils. It's just hard to pay up 6,500 for Larkin and 6,700 for Mantha. I do like them, but I just wish they were a bit cheaper tonight. Not too high on the Red Wings, anywhere around. Again, similar to the Devils, they're going to be in their own end for a lot of the game. So nothing on the Red Wings I like here, to be honest. Probably just going to fade them tonight. And same with Grice. I just think they're going to get smacked around by the Hurricanes the whole night.
Yeah, I think if they weren't matched against one of the stronger defensive teams in the NHL, I would be a little bit more on Red Wings 1 here. But again, like it's just such a mismatch for me. There's no really good D options either. Mark Stahl, maybe if you're just trying to get like some blocks for 2,900, that's not like the worst punt I've heard. But again, Grice at 6,900, even though he was very good on the Islanders last year, I think that's simply because of the way that the Islanders play hockey. It's a very defensive first type mentality. So I wouldn't be too keen on taking any Red Wings goalie this year either.
All right, we'll move on then. Okay, Blue Jackets and Predators. I really like the Blue Jackets first line. They're probably one of the best value plays on the slate tonight. Bjorkstrand's price is a lot lower than it was. You're getting Dubois under 5K. Grigorenko's a question mark. A lot of people have been hyping it up this year because he was really good in the KHL, but he is getting power play one time and he's min price. So I think Blue Jackets 1's going to be a chalky line. They're going to get a ton of ownership tonight, but they project really well, and so does the second line. They also project very well. So Jackets 1 and 2 look great tonight. A little bit of a misprice on Werenski I'm seeing here at 4,800. It's kind of crazy that he's that low. But yeah, Jones and Werenski solid plays tonight. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier with Adam Fox, that there's just better plays at that price tag. So I think you're fine going Werenski and Jones. And Vladislav Gavrikov, the block machine for the Blue Jackets.
Machine.
He's min price tonight. If you need a punt defenseman, I would take. I think Gavrikov's a very good option. And then I'm fine with Korpisalo or Merzlikins. Fair price is 7,400. Easy goalie that you can correlate with your Blue Jacket stocks.
Yeah, I really like the first time Grigorenko brings the price down. Dubois was just an absolute stud last year, especially in the playoffs against the Leafs. Bjorkstrand, you're going to get a lot of shot volume out of that as well. Both playing power play 1. Grigorenko, I believe, is on the second power play unit. They actually have Jones listed as PP1 right now, which is interesting because I believe it was Werenski last year.
There's both of them.
Really? Okay. So that's interesting that they're splitting them this year. I think, if anything, that just justifies Jones' price a little bit better. But we usually saw Werenski last year around like, what, 5,500 to like 6K?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's definitely a good price to take him at. And the second line is cheap as well. It's a solid second line. And I like Korpisalo, Merzlikins. I think they prove that they can be either one of them in net. I think is a good option for 7,400.
All right. Predators side, I really like the Jaff line for the Predators, the Johansson, Arvidsson, Forsberg line. They're going to be pretty much unknown tonight from what I'm seeing. So I really like the Predators first line. I do like the Predators second line as well. They're very cheap and they project well. Halla's cheap at 2,700, so I think they're both two lines are solid plays tonight. And then the bestie in DraftKings, Roman Josi. Finally, it was depressing last night. We didn't have a slate with Josi in it, but now we do. So Josi's always the bestie. I think, yeah, you're fine taking him as much as you want. And then Matthias Ekholm is another guy that projects well for us. He plays a lot of minutes, about 24 a night. And he loves to eat some shots off of his shin pads. So he's definitely a solid play tonight for the Predators. They look good.
Yeah, line 1 is full power play correlation as well. Mm-hmm. Line 2 is actually good too. I like their price with Halla and Cahoon bringing down that pair a little bit. And then third line's actually like really good analytically. Like I believe. Is that the same
No.
third line as last year? No, okay. So I'm wrong on that one. But Yossi's going to be my highest owned D for sure. Like he just absolute shot and block machine and PP1 and Norris Trophy winner.
Just
of
everything.
Course, so
Just
everything you won in a high price D. So I'm gonna have a lot of him tonight.
Absolutely.
And then UC Saros I think is fine. Like the Preds definitely are still gonna see some shots, but I wouldn't be worried with Saros and net at all over Rene.
Agreed. Okay, we'll move on. Flames and Jets. Flames with some new lines, it looks like. So we got Levo up on the first line with Monahan and Gaudreau. Dylan Dubé with Lindholm and Tkachuk. And then Derek Ryan on the third line with Backlund and Mangiapane. So some line movements there. It's kind of good for us for DraftKings. You see a lot of the prices going down with Derek Ryan there at 2,500, Dubé at 2,900, and Levo at min price. So they project really well for us. The Jets are a terrible defensive team. They give up a ton of scoring chances, a ton of shots. So the Flames look really good tonight. I would kind of stay away a bit from Giordano at that price tag at 6,100. He's not on the first power play unit anymore, but my boy Rasmus Andersson, power play 1, first pairing, 3,300 tonight. He's probably going to be one of my highest owned defensemen. I think he's going to play a ton of minutes tonight. I think we might see over 23 minutes. Likes to shoot the puck. He's going to be quarterbacking that top power play unit, so can't go wrong with Rasmus Andersson here. The Flames' first line looks really good, and the second line looks really good, so can't go wrong with the first two. And then I like Markstrom. I think under 8K is pretty good for him. He's going to see a lot of shots at the Jets. The Jets love the Jets win from their offense, not their defense, so they're going to have to be shooting a ton. Markstrom looks well. I think if you take the Flames, I would probably pair Markstrom on D. On D. In goalie. Sorry, guys. Still early for me this morning.
I'm sure he would make a pretty good defenseman at like what 6'4".
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like the split. I agree with from just like a DraftKings perspective, it's gonna bring the price down. The Flames had a really tough year last year, so they're looking to bounce back, and I think either if you go with line 1 or 2, you're going to get power play correlation no matter what. You're going to get a little bit priced down because of that extra value player, whether it's Levo or Dubé, which I still think are some pretty good options considering that Levo's min price and Dubé's 2,900. I probably wouldn't touch the third line altogether, but Rasmus Andersson, power play 1, 3,300. Like there's very few other D on this slate that is going to have that kind of upside, especially with a power play with Gaudreau, Monahan, Tkachuk, Lindholm. So I like the Flames, and Jacob Markstrom, big D man, 7,900. I like it too.
Best D man.
I think he's a very good goalie, and I think the Flames are going to benefit a lot from having him this year.
Yep. All right. So if you guys are liking the content so far, feel free to subscribe and leave a like. It helps us, produce more content, keeps us motivated. For people that are in the stream right now that want to ask about season-long fantasy, I'm going to have a video out tonight for some rookies to watch. So be aware of that. And I'm going to be doing a stream probably every Saturday where I'll go over, recap the week and everything and look at streamers and waiver wire targets and everything. So look forward to that, people that are here for the season long. All right, so move over to the Jets. The Jets 1 projects very well for us. They're all under 6K. They're all power play 1 correlation. Can we get an update on Ehlers? How's Ehlers' status right now?
As of right now, it's still unconfirmed. They do have him on the first forward line. As of right now, there's a huge ass indication saying that like he's a very probable thing. But I think if we don't see Ehlers there tonight, hopefully either Kyle Connor or Lion are probably going to get bumped up, which will definitely affect your price. But I think if anything, like looking at this lineup, I really like the first line, just how it is if Ehlers plays. I also really like the second line as well. It's a little bit pricey just with Connor and Laine, but I think their shot volume justifies it. Patrick Laine and Kyle Connor are both 30+ goal scorers, so with insane shot totals. So I really like that second line, and I'd like it a little more if Stastny's price wasn't at 4,900.
Yeah, like,
But
let me see 4K. Come on, his Vegas pricing.
yeah, exactly. That would be really nice. But either if you go first or second line, you're always going to get power play one correlation with Connor Laine and Scheifele Wheeler and Neil Pionk for 5,100. I think is still a really good play if
Yep.
you do a power play stack. I think that price is really nice for the upside that he could have with a very talented first line power play. And then Connor Hellebuck, just you don't really need to go over
No,
him as a goalie.
No,
He's
great.
He's a stud.
he's great.
Yeah.
Surprised you pronounced his name properly too.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move over to the Canucks, the exciting game from last night. I'm not sure if anyone in the stream tuned into that game, but it was sick. So back and forth. And we've had some questions about some of the players on the Canucks, so I'll run through them. First line looks good again tonight. They looked great last night. I know Travis Green, the coach, was saying that a lot of people are going to be moving around that top line with Besser and Pettersson, but we saw Virtanen there the whole night. His price is still cheap. Besser under 5K is really good. He had 2 goals last night. He looked great again, playing on the power play too. The second line, again, they project really well for us. They're cheap. And then I know some people asking me about Nils. He was in my my add to watch list player. So we saw Nils play on the first power play last night, which was awesome. If you picked him up in your fantasy league, you guys were happy with the goal he scored. And should see power play time again. The Horvat Pearson line was working the McDavid line the whole night last night. Seemed like the McDavid line just couldn't keep up with Horvat's defensive skill. And third line, I'm probably off. Not even going to look at them. And then Quinn Hughes, you can't go wrong if you're taking Quinn Hughes with the power play stack on the Canucks. If you take Pettersson, Besser, Horvat, Höglander, and Hughes, I think that's a very viable stack, and it kind of gets you different away from what everyone else is doing. Not too high on Edler with that price tag just because he's on the second power play unit. And then definitely going back to my boy Hamonic tonight. He won me some money last night and should win me some more money tonight. Guy loves the block. He was taking so many shot attempts. He was on the penalty kill too, and the Oilers love to shoot the puck on the penalty kill. So definitely going back to Hamonic tonight until his price goes up to about 4K. And then I saw some questions about Demko. I mean, if he's starting tonight, I would probably start him. It's a tough matchup against the Oilers, but he's going to see a ton of shots. And from what we know in the short sample size in playoffs, Demko loves facing a lot of shots.
Yeah, I'm definitely with Wolf here in the chat. Release the hog. Nils Höglander again at 2,800. I love that price, especially playing in the top 6. I actually picked him up in my fantasy league as well as my rookie this year, so very happy with what I'm seeing so far. But Besser was an absolute stud last night. He's still really priced down, I think, at 4,900, and
Absolutely.
that top line is very, very good. Like you said, I probably wouldn't touch the third line at all. Quinn Hughes, if you're doing a power play stack, he's a must-have. I think even at 4,800, you saw the one play he made to Besser where he was legit
sick.
on his back and just backhanded it right to him. It was he's something special, man. And then my boy Travis Hamonic, value punt D man.
Give me that money, Hamonic.
Yeah.
He was just feeding me
terms
last night.
In terms of Demko, I honestly think that as we progress through the season, I think Demko is going to be the number one guy. I think he's ready as an NHL goalie. So I wouldn't be too concerned about seeing him in goal, especially against Connor and Leon, who are probably going to be out for a little revenge tonight. But I think he's a solid pick and he's a solid goalie.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll quickly skim through the Oilers here. There's not too much to talk about with the Oilers. You can't really go wrong going the McDavid line. I think you're fine taking the full line with Cassie in there too. It seemed like he played a decent amount with Connor. Second line looked good. Yamamoto's price is up a little bit today, but he's still really good value at 4,500. Not touching the third line. They looked horrendous last night. I didn't notice them at all. I mean, there's a lot of hype about Puljujärvi, but he still has yet to prove anything to me. So the biggest question mark here is Tyson Barrie's price dropped $1,100 last night for some odd reason. played 22 minutes, played on the first power play. The Oilers just couldn't score on the power play, which was, I mean, that doesn't really happen that often considering they scored 35% of the time last year. So yeah, Barry looks really good tonight. Love Darnell Nurse again. And my boy Ethan Bear, 23 minutes last night, looked really good. So Oilers, I would probably suggest taking the first two lines. I like the second line a bit better, and then definitely go with the power play stacks.
Yeah, definitely going with a power play stack tonight. I think Tyson Barrie is going to see a lot of ownership tonight just because of his price. Like I said, I think McDavid and Draisaitl are going to be out for revenge tonight. And again, like you can never go wrong with betting on these guys. Like they led the league in points last year, so it's a safe play. Whatever you take the first or second line. I still think the second line holds a little bit more value just because of the pricing of Yamamoto, but 3,400 for Cassian, I still don't understand that, but
Min salary.
Exactly, definitely doing an Oilers power play stack tonight for sure. And then Mike Smith in net is just I think he's just as good as what you would expect from Koskinen yesterday. So
couple
just
goals.
Be wary of that at 8K. Yeah,
he's a better defenseman than Markstrom, I would say.
You think?
All right, so we'll go over to the Sharks and Coyotes game. Sharks first line looks pretty good. They're a little pricey. I don't really like Timo Meier above 6K, but they're not bad. They're going to play a lot of minutes. I'm not sure how the Coyotes are going to be with all these moves they've made, but Kemper's a really good goaltender, so they might have some trouble scoring. So the second line I really like. I know you guys love John Leonard. You guys know I love John Leonard, so I actually have a video with him in it coming out hopefully today or tomorrow, but I like the second line. Evander Kane shoots a bunch. He needs to start playing a little bit better to get paid more. So I like Hurdle under 6K. I think Kane and Hurdle will be on the power play. I'm not sure about where Leonard sits for the power play, if you can get me that. But first two lines look good tonight. I'm not too high on the third line. And then, I mean, Burns is fine, but I think I would rather go to Yossi for 1K cheaper. And then Erik Karlsson, 4,800 tonight. 4,800 Erik Karlsson. I get it. He hasn't been the 92-point Karlsson like we saw, but he's still an elite defenseman in the league. I think he's a great play tonight on DraftKings. It's kind of hard to shy away from someone that plays 26 minutes a night and is as good as Erik Karlsson is at 4,800. That's just a misprice. He'll go back up to 6K in a week.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think the biggest thing this year is that Erik Karlsson is actually fully healthy compared to last year. So I think he's a great play in fantasy as well as in DraftKings tonight, especially for 4,800. I'm going to have quite a bit of him. John Leonard is on power play 2.
2,700,
so
John Leonard, my boy.
It's Burns Carlson PP1 with Kane, Couture, Hurdle. So I think if you get a little bit more power play correlation if you take line 2 there, and then John Leonard is definitely the value play for sure. Mike's really excited about him, as you can tell. So I think just based off of the research that we've done, line 2 is the line to go tonight. It kind of brings the price down, and line 1's kind of pricey. So it's line 2 for me.
All right. Definitely not taking Jones or Dubnyk.
I'm not touching either of them with a 10-foot pole. They're bad.
So the Coyotes side, the first line's they're really cheap. So the Coyotes first line is an easy filler with the more expensive lines like Capitals 1, Boston's top line. So they're going to play a lot of minutes. I don't know. I mean, Hayden was a first round pick, 5th overall. So he does have the upside there. I do like Schmaltz this year. He's probably my favorite Coyote. But yeah, the first line, you're getting them for 11K. They should see over 18 minutes tonight. I like them. I think they're a good value. Don't mind the second line. I think Phil is priced too high. I would like to see him under 5K, but again, they should see a lot of minutes tonight, so they're not bad. Third line, I'm not even going to bother. I'm not too high on Keller anymore. So, and then for the D side, I'm definitely not taking OEL. I don't mind Chikrin. He plays a lot of minutes. He blocks, he shoots, but at 4,600, again, there's just better D at that price range for me. And then Kemper should see a ton of shots tonight, so I don't mind Kemper. I'll probably take some Kemper with my Coyote stacks.
Yeah, I think Kemper is I look at the Coyotes, and he's probably just the best play overall. The first line, I'm probably only going to get to them as a filler stack.
Yep.
I wouldn't really take them as like a main line. Line 2, same thing. I don't really see a lot of value. Like Dvorak had a half decent year last year, but Drake Caggiula at 2,700. Like, I'm having flashbacks to him with the Oilers, so I'm probably off the second and third line. But the Chikrin's price at 46 is pretty solid, like you said. Good amount of shots, good amount of blocks, plays a lot of minutes.
Caggiula. Chris Verley in the chat loves Caggiula. All right, move on to the Ducks Knights. Just a brutal matchup for the Ducks. They're way too expensive tonight for me. I just can't see myself going anywhere. Maybe John Gibson, because the Knights are going to be shooting a lot, but they're going to spend a ton of time in their own end tonight. So I don't know how much you have to say about it if you want me to just move on to the Knights, but there's not really much to talk about here with the Ducks.
Yeah, I'm off the Ducks tonight. I think outside of the Carolina-Detroit matchup, I think this is the biggest mismatch that you'll see on the slate tonight.
Yeah. I would probably keep Couturier. Well, it depends about your goaltender situation, your father. Let me know who your other goalie is. Okay, so moving over to the Golden Knights, my favorite team on the slate tonight, number 1. First line is unbelievable. So they're going to be my highest owned. It's not really going to be close. Second line, I'm going to have a bunch of too. Third line is very cheap, and they project really well for us. So the Knights are just unbelievable tonight. They should absolutely hammer the Ducks. And so for the D, Theodore's priced up too much for me now that Pietrangelo's here. I don't know how many minutes he's going to get. I have no idea what they're going to do. And then my favorite cheap defenseman from last year, who was never above 3K, Braden McNabb, is now 4,900. He's more expensive than Erik Karlsson. I don't know what happened, but I was all smiles when I was tossing him into the sheet, and then I saw 4,900, and I instantly frowned. But I think you can't go wrong with Pietrangelo. I'm probably off Theodore, though, personally. And then Robin Lehner, I mean, he's going to win tonight. There's a very high chance he's going to win tonight, so he's fine. His price tag's a little up, but the projection's there for him, so.
How do you feel to get absolutely targeted by DraftKings on the Braden McNabb?
Like, it's so... I don't get it.
I couldn't tell you either, but the PP1 for Vegas right now is Pacioretty. Is that Cody Glass I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Marchessault, Stone, Petro. So they're splitting it. Like, it's Tuck, Carlson, Smith, Martinez, Theodore on the second power play. So 6,400 for Theodore. Like you said, I don't know if he's going to get the same amount of minutes as he did last year with Petro there. Maybe if they play together, I don't know, but I think Vegas is your absolute slam dunk tonight. The first line is just look at the expected goals for and the expected goals against. Like, it's such a huge sample size as well. Like, you absolutely can't go wrong with this line, especially if you're in cash lineups. You want to, and you're obviously correlating lines. Like, this is your slam dunk play today. Same with the second line. Even some nice value there in the third line, I think.
Yeah.
Alex
great.
Tuck at 4,100. He played really well last year as well. So, and then Robin Lehner 8,500. Like, that tells you how bad the mismatch is right there. He's a very good goalie on a very one-sided game here.
$1,700 difference between the two goalies. Poor Gibson. Okay, we'll move on. So, we love the Knights tonight. So looking at the Wild, I know everyone's going to be asking me about Kirill Kaprizov. It's the player everyone's been questioning me about. I like the Wild first line. They project really well for us. They are going to play a ton of minutes tonight. The Kings are a pretty bad team. They're super cheap, so I like the Wild 1 tonight. Wild 2 is not bad. I just think Fiala's too expensive. I hate that he's starting the year off at 6,500. It makes me sad because I remember playing him at 4,000 when he was on his big goal streak. But the second line's fine. They're just too expensive for me, to be honest. I'm probably not going to have too much of them. The third line is a very cheap, good filler stack. So if you're taking McDavid, Draisaitl, Nuge, like, the Wild 3 is not out of the question to match them with. And then the D side, is Spurgeon PP1? Who do we have for PP1 with the Wild?
Let me bring it up real quick. It makes sense that I think it would be Dumba, would it not? Let me just get the
I'm
confirmation.
thinking it's
here.
Spurgeon, actually. We'll see.
It's Spurgeon and Dumba
Okay.
with Kaprizov, Parise, Fiala.
Yeah, so the first line has 2 correlating power play 1, so you're fine taking Dumba at 4,200. I like Dumba. He scored over 10 goals 3 seasons in a row. Then last year he had a little bit of a down year, but I still think he has that upside. And I like Talbot tonight. I mean, the Kings shoot a ton, and they're pretty poor team. The Wild's really good defensively too, so I like Talbot tonight.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit higher on the second line than you are. I just think that that Kevin Fiala, I almost call him Fiala there. Kevin Fiala is Mike always makes fun of me because I'm terrible with pronouncing names. I think Kevin Fiala is just an absolute stud. I think he showed it last year. There were signs of him the year before being a good, like an elite player as well. And outside of the Wild not having like any offensive upside, I think if you're going anywhere tonight, I think it's the second line. I look at that top line. We don't know how that's going to mesh exactly. And to me, like, I just think Benino's a solid enough center, and he has good analytic stats as he's shown. And Marcus Johansson is a little bit priced up for me, but if you're going anywhere, it's Fiala. But like Mike said, line 3 is a great filler line. Like, that's a very cheap line, and they have some very good stats, as you can see right there. Large sample size as well. So if you're looking for just like a filler line, I think that's definitely your go-to. I'm probably off all the Wild D tonight. Dumba for 4,200 is a pretty good price, so I might get a little bit of him, but I do like the Talbot call. LA does like to shoot the puck a lot, so I think that the Talbot's a competent enough goalie, and I think Minnesota's defense is fairly decent enough to where you shouldn't see an absolute blowout by the Kings.
All right. So for the Kings, it's just nothing exciting for me. The first line's pricey. If you're going to go anywhere, it's going to be the first line because a lot of the goal share does come from Kopitar, Iafallo, and Brown, but I just think the Wild are too good defensively. The Kings are going to have a tough time breaking into the zone. There's no one exciting on D, and Jonathan Quick is he's just a no-no for me. So in terms of the Kings, I'm probably not touching them at all tonight.
Yeah, I'm not touching Jonathan Quick at all.
Why? Look at that price tag,
7,700
tonight.
You know,
7,700.
You know exactly why I'm not touching Jonathan Quick. This could be a sneaky game. I think it's very possible that the Wild come out with like a bigger game than people would expect here, just because I think that LA is bad, right? Like, they didn't really do much to improve. I didn't see anything really that I liked price wise, because maybe you could get away with saying that like, oh, Kopitar 5,300s, but then like Iafallo is the same price, and then Dustin Brown is 4,900. So
no thanks.
Yeah, and the stats back it up as well. I don't think it's anything special. Oli Mata is a block machine, but at 4,300, I think again, like there's better players on the slate tonight. Yeah, it's not much to be said other than Jonathan Quick is an absolute bust for me tonight.
Alrighty, all right, that wraps it up then. Brandon, to answer your question, I would say I would pick up Nino Niederreiter. Just a better matchup tonight against Detroit. All right, so that does it for the stream.
Any questions before we take off, guys? Mike's pretty keen to get out of here. Maybe not.
Yeah, any last minute questions? I can tell you guys my favorite line tonight. Vegas won. Is Gibson worth starting? I wouldn't.
I wouldn't take him. No.
So, okay. So thanks everyone for tuning into the stream. I'm gonna have a video out tonight, hopefully, and then look forward to a stream this weekend. I'll run through what happened this week, players to pick up, all of that. Ask me all your fantasy questions and everything. So I'll probably be doing that either Saturday or Sunday. So just keep an eye out. If you're enjoying the content, leave a like. Feel free to subscribe too. We'll be doing this almost every day this year. And If anyone's into the Call of Duty content, head over to Aimless Charlton's YouTube channel or Twitch stream. He has some really good Call of Duty content. He's a really good player, so very entertaining for something to do in your downtime. Just hop on over there, a couple minutes, say that Fantasy Puck sent you, and he'll even talk hockey with you in the stream too. So my thoughts about Makar over Hughes and Raquel. Yeah, for DraftKings, I wouldn't touch Raquel tonight. He's too expensive. But for your season long leagues, I like Raquel. But he's going to have a tough time tonight against the Knights. So I would just play him in really good matchups personally. So yeah, that does it for the stream. I appreciate everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Peace out.
Thanks, guys.